Welcome back, YouTube. This is part 2 of the 200SX $25 Honda rebuild or ATV test. In part 1 we were able to make the four-wheeler run with starting fluid and the intake choking that we did. In episode 2 we're going to finish cleaning the carburetor that we started in episode 1, and we're going to try to get the four-wheeler run off of the carburetor. So stick around for this episode and we'll see how well it runs.
This stuff's been sitting in here for a while we were over there doing that starting test and started the fuel tank. Who's that? So we got, this thing is just sitting above the juice. It's drying. I got my paper towels, and I get a can of carb cleaner, and we're going to get this thing cleaned up, sprayed down to make sure it's working. So, I guess I don't have any carb cleaner. I've got brake parts cleaner, non-chlorinated, so that'll probably work fine. Let's get this stuff up and out and see if it's any better. This bowl is still really dirty, but the stuff is really loose. If I run my finger in here, it comes off. So I would think we're gonna be okay. Might wipe this one down a little bit and put it back in, but at least we got it loose. We can work with that. Shouldn't be too much. I'll stop and, well, let's just get some more stuff out here. I'll show you what we've got. We'll clean it up, and then we got the bottom side of the bowl here where all the jets thread in. The body here is, cleaning up pretty easily. You can see if I rub my finger on it, it is coming off. Not too much to it, so that should clean up pretty well. The other odds in here, got that couple of the jets, the main needle here, it looks good. It should clean up pretty well. A choke lever, I put that thing in. I decided after I started to just drop it in there. It's coming pretty clean too. So spend a few minutes here wiping this stuff down, and we'll see if there's anything wrong with it, and if there is, we'll talk about it. If not, we're going to put it back together, see if we can't get this going. Oh, I got all the heavy grime off, but now you can see it's just kind of got this gold color. But if you take and just scratch at it, it does clean up. So I want to get a plastic brush or a brass brush here and see if we can't get that to clean up a little bit. One thing I didn't talk about before is that when I stuck this in here before to clean it, but the good thing is you can see here is it floats. So it's definitely working. It doesn't seem to float weird like it's got fluid in it, so that's always good. Just give her another spray off real quick, but at least the float is working well. This got a toothbrush. I couldn't find my other ones that I usually use for stuff like this. They have this little angled head, and they do a really good job at cleaning, but they're all missing. One thing that's always good to do, and I do this with the carb bodies because they got a little more complex than just a bowl. I'm going to go over and use compressed air to clean it out before it dries out. So with a little bit of time and patience, you can see it doesn't clean up too bad. Gonna keep working through some more of this stuff and see what I can come up with here. Alright, folks, got this carburetor all back together. One thing that was missing, I kind of looked all over the sled in the box of screws and everything that I already had, and I couldn't find it, is this screw right here. The screw, I'll get you right here. The screw holds the choke lever that goes to the dash. So I've got this box of metric bolts that when I find something that somebody's thrown away, I take it apart and keep all the fasteners. And I found this little, I think it's a plug for something. It was like a paint system or something weird. Anyways, it's got the right thread and it's got a hex head and it's got enough threads that I think it'll work, and it also has a rubber washer, so that'll kind of jam it on there until I have time to get the right bolt. Again, that's if it even runs. We'll just use this. It threads in real nice, and we should be able to put a little pressure on it. It's not as deep of threads as you would with a normal one, but a normal bolt, but it'll be okay. We got the slide and the needle and the spring. I think we're ready to put this all back together, just to go around the carburetor. Just putting it in that dip. I did dip the bowl again for another like half an hour. It's really clean on the inside. Like, I got rid of all of that varnish. I'll pop it open real quick just so you can see all that yellow varnish we had in there before. It's all gone. So it makes me feel pretty confident we're going to have this thing in good shape. Get this last screw out. There's the 3 screws. Take this loose. You can see inside here it is just about as clean as it can be, and I had sprayed it down with the carb cleaner, and then I put it back in there for one more dip. I went and got some food, and it came out looking like that with very little effort. I did scrub the outside a little bit more, but it's all really for cosmetics. That doesn't affect the function at all. So we're going to get this put back together, and we're going to get it put on the 4-wheeler here and see if we can get it to start. We won't use the fuel tank that came with the 4-wheeler for this. We'll probably make a temporary option gotta come up with that yet, but we'll get that here very shortly, and we'll get this put in here so we can see if it works. And at that point, I'll take you over there, we'll put it back on the four-wheeler, and oh, just the other thing is the nuts for the carburetor were gone. I have some metric nuts here that fit the threads, so we've got those. They're nylocks. They're not identical to what was there, but we can use these to put them on and do some testing today. So let's give it a shot. Let's go over to the ATV and get everything put back together, and we'll go from there. Alright folks, so we got to put the throttle linkage back together. Just here on the cap we've got the spring and the slide. You put the spring on here and you slide the retainer through the hole in the side, and you slide it down to the bottom so it falls in. So it falls right in, and the throttle works. You can see the springs moving. So that's ready to go. Next we're going to put the carburetor on. So you won't need a gasket. The Hondas have an O-ring that's built in to the carburetor body. It's the same thing with the carburetor bowl, so there's no gaskets that get ruined, which is pretty nice. So we'll put the carburetor in here. It fits in there really nice. Now we just got to fiddle with these nuts. Unfortunately, there's no good way to get even a tool from the back to get access to direct access. So usually just hand start these. This one over here has a side axis. This other side has the tube, and I don't really want to take it apart yet for the air box. So we get them started. My replacement nuts use a 10mm wrench to put them on. So just a second, I'll grab it. So here's the clutch cable, and this right here, this hole is what we found the bolt for earlier. So another little trick, because it's a very short bolt and I just don't want it to slide all the way back into the socket, so I'm just going to take a piece of tape here and just shove it in the socket, and that's going to keep the, you can see it keeps the fastener from going way back in the socket. So we'll get this started now. So we got it snugged up. Just put a little bit on it. Again, I don't have a really long bolt, so I don't need to torque it down like I putting lug nuts on a semi truck or anything like that. So we got that on. We just need to drop this, drop the throttle in, spin it. Okay. Slide right in. Right on the cap here. Alright, so now we've got the choke functioning. It's working really well. It's neat. And we need to come up with a temporary fuel tank. Alright, so don't do what I do. I take no responsibility if you choose to do that, but this is not an approved container. Obviously you'd want to use the fuel tank with the fuel line that comes right into the carburetor. I'm not doing that because our carburetor is clean and our fuel tank is suspect right now. I've been shaking it, letting it set and all that jazz. So there's no guarantee we'll get clean gas. So I'm just going to use this recycled bottle here. It's got a little bit of fuel line that I use to tilt up. You can see some air come out there. So I think we've got the bowl. I'm just trying to make sure the bowl is set. I'm not really pressing it. It can suck a little bit of the air out. So I think we're going to be in good enough shape to try this out. So we still got power on, as indicated by the tail light. The tail light's on. The headlight bulb burnt out. So we do have the choke circuit, so I can run that on and try to start it. So I got the choke up, or choke is on the dash. We're going to hit the starter button here. So I didn't get anything there. I'm going to leave the choke up. Alright, well that sounded good. Take the choke off. Alright, put the choke back on. Try the choke off again. So I'm going to adjust the air idle screw, but you guys heard it there. We got it running. It didn't take too much. Adjusted the air idle screw just a little bit there. Just with both my fingers here. Let's see if we can get it restarted. So the choke is off. I don't know if these things like choke or not. You can comment below if they do. I'm going to try it with maybe half choke or something like that for right now. Or bolt it. I feel like I need a little bit more air. It's running okay. Oh, we lost our fuel tank there. Put that back over there. But I think we're getting something, guys. I don't know. That sounds like a Honda to me. It's running really nice. I don't even think we need the battery connection anymore. That's good. That means that the stator's working. That is awesome. I just want to close out the video by saying, you know, don't be afraid to try something new. I've never bought a Honda four-wheeler that's cost me $25 like this before and tried to get it running. But the principles are pretty much simple. You know, you got fuel, spark, and air. And right now we don't have an air box, so that's pretty easy. We've got the fuel. We cleaned the carburetor, and we checked that we had spark. We had spark from the start, so it didn't take much to get it going. You know, don't be afraid to try a new project. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money to do it. Just get out there and do something. Just try it out. That's the end of this video. Leave comments down below if you guys want to see more content on this four-wheeler, or if you have any kind of constructive criticism. There's no reason to get nasty. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy that works in my garage or works at home. So with that, hopefully you enjoy the video, and thanks for watching the whole thing.